You know what I'm saying? You can't, sometimes you can't talk, messages don't translate well across all different people. You see what I'm saying? So give me that, and then I'll let you give me that first, and then I'll ask my last one.
So I apologize in advance for being a cliche, right? But
Okay.
I truly believe that if there's a young person out there who's listening to this, the first thing you need to do is to believe in your ability to make it happen. You got to believe in yourself. And that starts first because you're going to have family members, you're going to have friends, you're going to have, classmates who don't believe in you, who are going to project their fears on you. Not that because they don't think that you have what it takes to persevere and to make it. They didn't believe in themselves, so it's hard to believe in you, right? So you're going to have to be able to develop tough skin. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint at heart. Like you got to believe in yourself. You got to love yourself, because not only are you going to be dealing with society and everyone around you, you're also going to be dealing with your own head. Imposter syndrome is going to set in at some point, right? The feeling of inadequacy, you're going to face that. And if you struggle with believing in yourself, you're going to be defeated, period. Like you're not going to make it through that. And that's most important, because if you don't get through that mental work, then you're not going to be able to physically execute.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Armand back again with another episode of Big Boss Talk, the podcast. Listen, I already told her before she hopped on, I was like, this might be the next Michelle Obama coming to the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, this lady right here is so bossed up. It's crazy. I was just doing some research just based off social media. Obviously, I'm going to have the conversation and really get to know her on a more personal level, and you guys can be able to listen to her her story and just get a grasp of everything that she's been able to do, accomplish what she's trying to accomplish. But she came by recommendation. So Shakira, which is a good friend of my wife's, they kind of, go back and forth a little bit just in that inner circle. But she recommended this guest, and I'm so glad that she did, just because it's going to give us a different perspective, something that we probably never heard before, never seen before. So, Lyndsae, say what's up to the podcast.
Of course, as always, still in this virtual world, still talking on mute, but hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Shakira for making the recommendation. That is my girl. One, I just love and adore her just for who she is, but also for being a fellow Howard alum, my Baltimore sis, all good things. So thank you for having me.
There we go. So listen, for the listeners, the viewers, I'm going to give y'all a good rundown, okay, of who we got on here. So like I said, Lyndsae Peele, age 28, career job. She was a former banking professional, now CEO of Kingdom Vision Enterprises, LLC. That name sounds very powerful. That is crazy. I love it. College degree. She has her BA in broadcast journalism from Howard, MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus, and certificate in women's entrepreneurship from Cornell. Years in profession. She has 7 years. So she's almost at a decade of just being in her profession. So she got a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge under that belt, knows so much, and I can't wait to just dive into it. But listen, it won't be Big Boss Talk, the podcast, if we don't get into the two truths and the lie. It's a pillar in the show. So I need to get these 3 statements you got and see if I can catch this lie.
All right. So the first statement is that I am a second generation entrepreneur. My father's a plumber. My mom has been running the business for over 20 years. The second statement is that I have 2 cats and a dog whom I absolutely adore. And the third statement is that I was in a music video back in the day.
Oh my God. Hold up. You kind of good. You made all 3 of them sound real believable. So, second generation.
That's the point, you know?
Yeah. See, you doing it real good. Everybody I get, they don't make it sound believable. I can catch them, they be stuttering like, Okay, so we got second generation entrepreneur. Number 2 is you have 2 cats and a dog that you absolutely love. What's their name?
Zeus, Xavier, and Zena.
Okay, got it. I had to catch you on, see if I catch you on your toes on that one. Then you said the last one is what was the last one?
I was in a music video back in the day.
Music video. Which one? The 99 from the 2000s?
Listen, you can't be asking too many
I can't
questions.
ask too many
That's
questions.
not the game.
Okay. Wow. I want to say second generation entrepreneur is the lie. I feel like how you come so hard, you got to be like the first, like just coming to wreck stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then you said fur babies. So you got 2 cats and 1 dog. That's a lot to handle, man. 2 cats and a dog, and then you was in a music video. All right, so look, I'm gonna go.
I'm not giving any emotion either way. I'm waiting.
Yeah,
for
you're not. You ain't giving no emotion, and it's hard. But I'm gonna go with the fur babies. 2 cats and a dog. Like, I mean, if you got them, you got them. But I'm gonna say that's the lie. I believe that you're a second generation entrepreneur, and I believe that you could definitely been in a music video. That's just something you never forget. I think that's dope. But I'm gonna say that's the lie. The two cats and a dog.
You are good. You are good. You are really good because I really tried to squeeze that and soften it up. Yeah. You got me with the names. I had to make up a third name to throw in there real fast.
I was like, what's their name? You was like, I mean, they came quick. So I was like, man, she might be telling the truth. But, everything else sound for me. So listen, we got to go over this, all right? So talk to me about, we'll say the music video for last. Talk to me about being a second generation entrepreneur. Like, how dope is that? Like, just to be able to have people that have taken the route that you're taking to be able to kind of give game, wisdom, wherever that may lie, you know?
Well, it's been an amazing ride, right? So if you've heard me tell my story before, my parents are entrepreneurs of over 20 years. You know, my parents did not have any fancy college degrees. They didn't have, big careers previously. They both had kind of really hit very hard times after the age of 40. And here I came, I popped up while my parents were 41. By the time they had me, my mom had just turned 42. My father was on his way to 42 that next month. And it was a very, very interesting journey for them. Both of them had dropped out of school. Both of them had gone back at some point to get their GED. My father went to the military for a few years. My mom worked a few jobs while she was living in New York. And once my mom, she had a major loss in her family. And shortly after that, she moved to down south in North Carolina, met my father, and they kind of made it work. Literally, I was born in what we call the little house on the prairie, which was a very small house in the middle of the woods. True story. And my parents ended up building a home when I was about 2 through FHA while my mom was working at Wrangler and my dad was working as a welder and doing some meat packing. And after a while, they had to figure out another way. They had to figure out another way. And I was that kid who kind of gave my parents that extra chance, that extra push, because all of my siblings are 21 plus years older than myself, except one who's 13 years plus. Right. So I'm 28 and the closest one to me is 41. Well, 42 actually. And everybody else is like 48, 49, 50, and 51. Wow. And I'm the only one between both of my parents. My mom had 2 boys previously, and my dad had 2 girls. So I have a very, very interesting story, a very interesting testimony. And I'm truly a living example of what it looks like to bet on yourself, what it looks like to make a way out of no way. My parents kind of did it. My father failed the plumbing exam a few times, and third time was the charm. He passed, and it's been up ever since. And really just to kind of see my parents who are still 70 plus years old, still working every day to create the legacy for my family, and to be here to tell the story, it's a beautiful journey.
Man, that is crazy. Okay, so look, obviously you're the youngest out of everybody. I'm pretty sure you got like nieces and nephews that might be close to your age. Like, what's up, auntie? But they like,
I graduated with one of my nephews.
no.
I have another, like, we went to school, the same school together. I have another niece that graduated with me. She lives somewhere else. I have another niece who's 3 years older than me. So, yes, that is my story.
That is crazy. So I got a similar story, but it's not as, like, I don't have a lot of siblings that's, older than me, but it's not even that. It's like my dad has a super young brother. So like my uncle who is younger than me, and he always like, we used to be in high school together, and he'd be like, "That's my brother's boy," and like he's younger than me, so I'm like, "Hey, shut up, man!" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't call you unc, and I'm older than you, so it gets a little tricky. It's pretty funny though, by the way. But I think great story. I mean, great. Shout out to your parents, really, making something out of nothing, and I'm pretty sure everything that you saw from age, as soon as you were born to now, like it kind of just rubbed off on you and was instilled in you. So that's awesome to see. But now we can transition over to what music video was you in? Like, can we go pull up the cameo? Like, where was it? How did this happen? I need the details.
So, okay, so I don't think I've ever talked about this like in a live interview or anything. So I was back in the day, in high school. I'm a band head, right? Okay. So I marched at Howard. I marched in high school. But my last 2 years of high school, I was drum major. And my senior year, my band director had one of his former students from his old school had grown up and was pursuing a music career. And she wanted to include us in the video. And the name of the video is called Bubblegum Thing by Mika Swain.
I'm just playing.
Yes, it is. It's called Bubblegum Thing by Mika Swain, and it was extremely memorable. Extremely. It was fun.
That's dope, man. I wish I could have been if I was in music, I'd be acting a fool, man. Let's go, doing my little 2-step or something. But that's cool.
A good time.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so cool. Thank you for going over that, man. I'm glad we got an exclusive. Never been.
I really do have fur babies, though. I have one cat and one dog. My cat's name is Zeus, and the dog's name is Zena.
Okay. I'm glad we cleared that up. So we do got some fur babies in the house. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's what's up. So talk to me about, what did you, I always ask my guests, because I want people to understand that it is okay to change paths. It's okay to redirect. It's okay to not have everything figured out and put all this stress on you to feel like, and I see it mostly in a lot of, females, especially like with my wife, like she was so down to the point, like I want to be doing this at this time or this at this age and this and this. And none of it happened. You know what I'm saying? But it also it causes a lot of just mental stress, sometimes depression, different things. What did you want to be growing up? Was it a doctor, lawyer? Like, what did you ever want to be?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At some point, I wanted to be an OBGYN. At some point, I wanted to be an attorney. At some point, I wanted to be a college professor. At some point, I wanted to be a news anchor and radio show host, up until college, really, because my degree is in broadcast journalism. So I went to school, with the goal of being on the news somewhere.
Yeah.
But here we are.
But
here we are.
How what changed? You know what I'm saying? Because I know for me, I went to school, wanted to be a electrical engineer, just because I grew up. My uncle is probably I would say he was the first generation person to go to college and actually graduate and stuff. So like everybody, like my grandma, everybody was like, "You're gonna be like your uncle. You're gonna be like your uncle. Follow his steps, go to school, do all that." So I'm like, okay, cool. Me and my uncle totally opposites though. Like, he a little bit more calm. I'm a little bit more on the wild child side. But, I'm just, I just wanted, I said electrical engineer, but then I got to college and I took I was playing football at the time, and they were saying, you got to take trigonometry 1 and 2 in the same semester. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. So I was like, I got to change the major. So I went to mass communications, which things happen for a reason. And I've always been a talker. I've always been like a salesperson. I don't know why I thought electrical engineering was for me. I'm not saying I couldn't do it. I just don't think I have fun at it.
However.
You know what I'm saying? So, but what changed for you? Like, you had so many different changes. Like, how did you just change? What made you change your mind?
I think growing up, I think it was typical to want to be a teacher or a lawyer because that's kind of what we saw mostly in school. That's kind of what they drilled in us to be, high earning careers. And I come from a super marginalized community, right? So I'm born and raised in one of the poorest counties in North Carolina, by the name of Bertie County. So we already had very limited resources, very few actual programs to really kind of support us in our dreams as kids. So I also kind of got my love for education from the teachers who poured into me, the mentors who poured into me. So I'm like, I want to get back. I've always had a servant's heart. My mom has kind of drilled that into me. Very spiritual woman, very big on giving and being a servant. Very big on being a conduit for blessings. Anything that she has, she's always, pouring back out into the community. So I've always wanted to just create an impact of some kind.
Right.
So while I was a student, I was studying broadcast journalism primarily, but my minor was community development. Okay. So I knew at some point I would be in community development, economic development, something that was impacting Black and brown people, right? I've always kind of been geared towards that. And at Howard, our mantra is, truth and service. So heavy on the service, right? So being in that space around a lot of other Black excellent, students who had a big heart for just the world and making a better place for Black people. I was like, okay. Long story short, at the end of my junior year, I was looking for an internship in the media industry. And if you are in media, it can be very hard to break into. So I ended up seeing a part-time job position open. It was a 20-hour teleposition. It had benefits. Full benefits. And I was like, weigh the options.
Yeah.
I applied. I nailed the first interview, which is a panel interview. The district manager sent me directly to the branch that was down the street from my university at the time. And for a second interview, and they instantly was like, absolutely, we'd love to have you. And I started working at the bank while I was a student. And that was pretty cool. That was really cool. So I got to know a lot of people. I had a real job. I had benefits. I was starting my 401k. There were so many things happening. And I found a way to do both things that I love, right? I found a way to heavily impact the community by providing financial literacy and education and having those conversations that we don't have at our family dinner table. And I also found a way to use my voice. I've always loved speaking, always. I remember reading the morning announcements as an 8th grade student, right? So this has always been who I am. And having an opportunity to facilitate in rooms, people who look like us, we code switch all the time, right? So I literally can blend in anywhere, right? In the boardroom with, a lot of old white men, or I can blend in, on the street with my people, talking to my guys, right? So being in that space of being able to impact any and everyone through finances and financial education, it struck me in a way that I didn't know something could. And after I graduated, I decided to stay with the bank. And I literally got promoted every single year that I was in the banking industry. For 5 to 6 years straight. So, I started as a part-time teller. The next year after I graduated, I spent some time out of the country doing some service work, came back, got a promotion for a hybrid role between a teller and a banker. That next year, I was in DC. That next year, I moved to Baltimore and took a promotion as a personal banker. That next year, I got promoted to a business banker. That next year, I ended up getting recruited from another institution to become a branch manager and business development officer. And I did that for almost 2 years. And it has been a beautiful journey since. Even now being in this space where I have my own radio show, right? So I still get to use my voice. I still get to impact my people. And in a way that is very unique to who I am, right? I'm able to use my voice, and because of kind of who I am, the personality that I have, but also the story that I tell, where I come from, it really hits people in a different way, right? And it evokes change when people really have an opportunity to speak with me, to hear my story, and to hear how my parents, kind of just literally created something out of nothing. Like I remember in third grade when my mom lost her job at Wrangler, they're moving overseas. The best thing they probably could have did for them was they sent everyone to community college. And my mom, everybody started out on the medical assistant track, and then my mom ended up changing her major to business administration. And kind of just seeing her persevere and to go all out with it and really just kind of be the backbone of my parents' business. Being in the bank, it just gave me everything that I needed, but most importantly, it gave me resources that I now had access to pour into my community who did not have those resources. So banking and finance was not something that, I planned for at all. Right. It was not something that I dreamed about. It was my purpose. It was my calling. And I was kind of put here in this position to do what I do. And it's been a blessing.
Man. So, I mean, pretty much it aligned with everything as far as your core values. You know what I'm saying? Like it's certain things that, you don't see yourself doing certain stuff. But when you look back, look at your track and, everything that you've been a part of, it's like, dang, I didn't even know this could fit me. But it's just like how you said it impact me on a different level as far as like the financial literacy, being able to speak to your people and really just give them information that a lot of us don't have access to, or we don't know how to get access to, right? We don't know what's out there. And I think, what you're doing or, what you have been doing is very much crucial to the people that want it, the people that want that information, because not everybody that's another thing. Not everybody wants the information or wants to, empower themselves to get the information. They just want it to come to them. And you got to understand that you're not owed anything. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out here and get it for yourself. And so I think, what you're doing is amazing as far as, just how you've been able to impact the community. I did, look at the radio show, and I was going to talk to you about the radio show as well. But the biggest thing I did want to talk about is, with the, the banking situation, what was, during that process, can you tell me anything as far as what are some of the things you liked about our system, financially, and what are some of the things that you dislike? So give me some of the pros and the cons that you see for us that, that we could do better at, or that, what's out there for us that we can really grasp.
So the biggest thing is the biggest pro is that the bank has all of the access to financial resources that you need. It has access to services, products that a lot of us actually need to utilize, beyond just a checking account, beyond just a savings account, but investments, insurance, right? Mortgage loans, auto loan. Your banking institution has all of that. But bigger than that, they also have the education to teach you how to manage your finances properly, how to prepare yourself for retirement, how to start a business. Financial institutions house that information. The biggest con attached to that is because there is such a huge trust gap between our communities and financial institutions who have what we need, then we don't tap into those services, right? We don't trust the bank. Our parents still tell us don't trust the bank, don't trust credit, right? So when we already walk into banking institutions with an attitude, no, we don't want to speak to a banker. No, we don't want to meet a manager. No, we really don't even want to have a conversation with this teller for real, but you got to take my money, so I'm standing here at your window and I may say hey or yes or whatever, right? So we're already entering into a space with a negative connotation that at the very end of the day, it's really hurting us, because whether we tap into the bank's resources or not, the bank is still going to be successful because they're still using our money to grow and establish their own entities, right? So if anything, we need to be using them for all it's worth, because they use your dollars every day. Go in there and meet that banker. They get paid to educate you. They get paid to answer your questions. They get paid to refer products and services that can be useful to you. However, for our communities, we have to be willing to do that hard work ourselves internally first. We have to be willing to think about our money mindset, to think about those experiences, to understand what we need to unlearn so that we can relearn and make room for more positive things, more positive habits. And until we get to that space within ourselves, we're not going to feel comfortable being transparent and vulnerable in the conversation with the banker to be able to access those tools and resources. So it's a double-edged sword, right? And for me, a person of impact, it was difficult sometimes in those spaces because, one guy called me the spy on the inside, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, a spy is kind of usually used as a negative connotation, right? But I understood what he meant because I was in those systems, learning how to utilize those systems and bringing that information back to my people, and which was the most beneficial. But you said something earlier is that we got to want it. And I had to realize that everybody didn't want it. I was doing so much, wanted to be everywhere, all the pop-up events, all of this, all of that, like being in the market, but everybody don't want it. So if they don't want it, they're not going to be receptive to it. It's also like, okay, I need to go where I'm going to be received, where this information is going to be received. So it's like peeling the onion. There are so many layers, and even when you think you peel back a layer, right? There's another piece of skin see on the side that need to be peeled too. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But the biggest thing I can say is that these institutions have what we need. We just got to learn how to utilize them. And even if you don't like them, learn how to utilize their systems. Learn how to understand credit so that you can get a credit profile with these banking institutions, right? So that you can get multiple products, so that you can get a mortgage, so that you can get an auto loan, so that you can get a credit card, a personal line of credit, and a personal loan from the same institution because you built a relationship with them. You don't have to you don't have to love everything about them, but you want to be able to utilize their products and services and position yourself to be considered a good client to them that they will invest in.
Man, come on, man. We dropping gems right now, man. Listen, the people need it, man. Like, I think, I don't understand why financial literacy, I do understand why, but it's shocking to me that with all the resources, the internet, everything that we got right now, that we still kind of, we getting a little bit better, but we still struggle as far as with making financial decisions, financial literacy. Heck, just an hour before I was even on this call, I'm going over the finances like, okay, boom, trying to make sure like, what can we do? Because we trying to, do something big as far as like next year with, like a home and everything like that. So it's just like, trying to make sure everything lines up, but it was shocking to me. Just like, why I ain't do this earlier? Like, why I ain't do this, before? Why I'm not doing this like every quarter just to kind of review, make sure everything is lined up? And I think what you spoke on is like the institutions have the information that we need. We are just not leveraging the relationship. They using us more than we using them. And I feel like we got to understand that, we got leverage in the game too. We got skin in the game too, because without, obviously without us putting our money or, dollars into the institution, they don't have anything to kind of really leverage or, back themselves up. So I really want to harp on, if you listening, watching, listen to what she's saying and just step into a bank one day and just ask a few questions and see if you can learn some information. You know what I'm saying? Because it could change.
Or ask for some brochures, right? Ask for some. They have marketing information that also provides resources. Like you can get credit pamphlets, like where they will teach you about credit. But you gotta ask and actually open the pages when they give them to you.
I gotta open the pages. That's what's up. Okay, so now I'm gonna go take a few steps back. Right, I'm gonna ask you a crazy question. Howard, that's the real HU?
Absolutely. What crazy question it is. You tried me.
Listen. I sit down. It's crazy. I tell you, when I can, I try to just let people know, like, one of the biggest things that I wish I would have did is went to an HBCU. And the only reason why is because you can't, everybody say you can't generate the experience, you can't generate that culture anywhere else besides an HBCU. And so every person I get on here that's from an HBCU, like, you should see the pride on their face. Like, that question I just asked you saw how you about jump through the screen, like, boy, what's wrong with you? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's that type of respect or that type of, value that they have in a school, and I love it. I love it to death. Tell me about the decision of you going to Howard. Like, was that first choice? How was
I am that person. Howard was first choice for me. So, again, I mentioned I come from a super marginalized community, but one of the things that I could appreciate is that if there was a program that you could tap into, then our counselors and mentors tried to make sure that we had access to them. And typically they were on college campuses that would target high school students. So I was in this program called Upward Bound. And during my sophomore year, we went on a college tour to DC. So being from a super poor community in North Carolina, being exposed to the nation's capital and going to see different universities, I instantly fell in love with Howard during our visit. Instantly. It was like seeing a melting pot of Blackness, right?
Yeah.
You know, yes, we're an HBCU. However, the diversity is unmatched, right? I met amazing Black people from all over the continent of Africa, like all over the Caribbean, literally from anywhere, everywhere. People who sound like me, people who didn't, people who had my skin tone, people who didn't, right? People who might have had my same hair type, people who didn't, right? And to still share that Black love, that Black pride, it was amazing. And Howard remained my first choice throughout high school. Of course, my parents wanted me to go to Carolina or ECU. They wanted me to do the schools that were local, Elizabeth City, because it was free. But I wanted to go to Howard. I wanted to be a Howard girl. And it was probably one of the best decisions that I ever made. And I am thankful for my parents, you know, my mom really trusting me and wanting me to have the experience that I wanted for myself and not something that someone else projected on me based on their fears or what they wanted. So I appreciate my parents allowing me to go to my first choice school because it made a tremendous difference. And I have not been back since. I left home. I kind of made it. I go back to provide resources, you know, to host events, you know, to partner with other people to provide financial education. But as far as living, you know, I come from one of those places that when you make it out, you want to kind of make it out.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's what's up, man. I don't know. I'm being a big advocate for HBCUs right now because I get a lot of people on here, and the way y'all talk about it, somebody's just gonna be like, "Yeah, I gotta get to Howard." You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Listen, absolutely, it was the best decision because it gave me a sense of pride that you just don't get anywhere else. Right. We're used to, as Black people, being the minority, right, in the world. When you're at a PWI, you're even more of a minority, right? And it shows, you see it, you feel it, right? But to be in a space as a student, especially as a young student, when our minds are so vulnerable, like they're so easily to be impacted by certain things. I was impacted by the right things, by Black excellence, by seeing alumni come through, you know, during homecoming, you know, being able to have Wendy Raquel Robinson shout me out for being the only girl in the drum line during my freshman year, to see people like Taraji P. Henson up close, right? To see these people, to experience these people, amazing Black excellence. It was one of the best experiences of my life attending Howard University, truly.
Listen, man, y'all heard it here, man. Y'all make sure if y'all can, try to get up in Howard, one of these HBCUs, and get around your people, man. Get these network relationships, networks. I talked to Shakira. She was like, nepotism, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she all for it. So it's just like, I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? They look out for their people. Well, we need to look out for ours. And if there's, you know, people in power, we need to be starting to, you know, plug people in and just, you know, giving people opportunity, a chance, because everybody,
that's what we need,
as a chance. So, moving this conversation forward, going into kind of the last little bit is talk to me about, you know, being the CEO of Kingdom Vision Enterprises. Like, what is all of that encompass? You know what I'm saying? Like, give me your day-to-day kind of schedule. Like, what are we doing? You know, with the business.
Yeah, so Kingdom Vision Enterprises, we are an award-winning financial services company. So we actually just won the state of Maryland from the Small Business Administration out of the Baltimore District Office, the Financial Services Champion of the Year for 2022. So we're super excited about that. Very blessed. for that opportunity. We are a financial services company with two financial subsidiaries, one being the radio show, The Real Deal Radio Show, where we provide resources, empathy, accountability, and literacy to improve the overall wealth journey for the Black entrepreneur. We meet you at the intersection of faith, family, and finances. And then also our consulting firm, Kingdom Vision Consulting. And we specifically focus on 5 key areas of finance known as CLASS, specifically for Black and Brown entrepreneurs. And CLASS stands for creditworthiness, long-term wealth, asset protection, strategic banking relationships, and strategic asset accumulation. And I am really big on community. You know, that's how I spend most of my time, but my hands are involved in so many other entities. I serve as the vice president of the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm the director of community engagement for O'Hara Development Partners, which is a community development real estate firm. So many things. I'm a certified SCORE mentor. I spend a lot of time in that space. But most importantly, within my business, our day-to-day looks different, right? It depends on how many interviews we might have that day, right? It depends on, are we facilitating? I do a lot of presentations on behalf of my company hosting events, but also on behalf of other firms. I partner with a number of what we call community development financial institutions. These are CDFIs that provide technical assistance, which is basically like business mentorship in all areas of finance. But they also provide access to capital to business owners who typically can't get approvals through your typical bank. So I provide a lot of resources to them. I work with their clients. So I have some clients I work with on my own. I have a number of organizations that I partner with. I partner with women's business centers to really get the information out here, but also to make myself available to clients who still are in a space where they may or may not be able to afford to work with me personally. Right now, we are working on producing some digital content. So I'm working on some webinars, working on an ebook right now, a number of things that I'm super excited about. I'm also exploring this space of traveling, right? You know, COVID kind of changed our world forever, right? And being able to work remotely, as long as you have, you know, reliable Wi-Fi and a computer, you can do anything anywhere. So I just touched down in Atlanta last night. So I'll be here for the entire month of May, you know, working, networking, really just kind of just putting my stamp all over the place. And it's been such a great experience,
Golly, I told y'all we was talking to somebody up there. Like the list goes on, and I mean, I think it's crazy. I don't even know where to start. So obviously, shout out to you for creating, you know, the online products, the ebooks. I talked to heard some mentors say, like, you know, doing ebooks and stuff like that, you only got to do it once, and then you do it right once, it continues to, you know, kind of pays you over and
That's
over.
The goal. That is the goal.
Right. Yep. So it's like those assets, you know, just small things like that people don't really realize that you can do, you know, put together, but it has to be done right. Talk to me, you know, how has your program or your business, you know, do you have any success stories? You know what I'm saying? With people that's, you know, maybe watching, listening, you know, why do they need to come to, you know, Lyndsae for this information? You know what I'm saying? If I can go any and everywhere else, why do I need to come to you?
So first of all, I lead with my heart, right? So I'm about the people first. You know, my clients are not just clients. They're not just a check for me or just a contract for me. They're people first. So being in a space of working with CEOs where, you know, we create the most impact in our communities. Let's think about it. You're leading this business. Most of us are family members, right? Some of us are wives, husbands, right? Mothers, fathers. So you create an impact within your family, but you also create an impact within your community through your business, through the networks that you're a part of. And I truly invest in my clients because they are the biggest investment of our community. If you are in a space where you can really impact a CEO and really transform their financial mindset, it's going to change their family's finances. First, their own individual finances. It's also going to change that business's finances, and it's going to give that CEO the empowerment and the financial backing to create other solutions to other problems in the world, right? Entrepreneurs, we're creators, we're innovators. You know, we see a problem and we create solutions, but a lot of times our biggest issue is finances. We don't have the capital to do so. A lot of times we have bootstrapped our way up, right? Mm-hmm. We don't have retirement funds, so we steady trying to use that. We can't save at the same time, but we also trying to throw in the luxury trip too, right? Yeah. We're pulled in so many places. And for me to be a person that has, I come from multiple sides of the spectrum. I have been a child of an entrepreneur. I've seen what it looks like for my parents to invest in themselves, to invest in the business, to be able to take care of me. Yeah. I'm also an entrepreneur myself. You know, I was thrown into the entrepreneurship world, if you want me to be frank, right? Mm-hmm. So after being laid off during a pandemic, during a big bank merger, branches being closed, that was devastating. But, you know, I'm very much so a woman of faith. So really being able to just hear the downloads of this is what you need to do. This is what you create. This is who you serve. This is how you do it. And to see myself 18 months later is great, right? Yeah. But also really being able to, I understand the banking system and I understand how money works, right? Yeah. And I understand that a lot of what we don't do, what we don't see is because we didn't learn it. Right. We weren't taught about credit at home, which it needs to start at home. You need to start, having conversations when your kids are little so that, they're to the point that when they graduate, when they're going to college, they also can think strategically. They can make the best decisions with those refund checks. They can make the best decisions with those jobs that they are working part-time, right? Mm-hmm. So I just, my approach is different, but also too, I bridge the gap between entrepreneurs and the financial resource partners that they need. So I'm really big on helping my entrepreneurs create what we call a financial dream team. So making sure that you have those power players that are professionals in the financial industry in different regards, right? And their different specializations to help you get where you need to get. Because if you DIY anything, it should not be your finances, right? We're always trying to find a cheaper alternative. We want to do it ourselves. You should not DIY your finances because you cap yourself at what you know. If this is all you know, this is the best that you can do. Right. But when you have resource partners who are in the game, who are experts, right? You're able to tap into their expertise. You need an accountant, you need a bookkeeper, you need to have a lawyer, you need to have an insurance agent, you need to have a business banker. Yeah. We don't expect you to know everything about all of those areas. We just expect you to know your zone of genius, which is your industry, your business, what you do. And it's your job as a CEO to be able to bring those people in that you need to help take you to the next level. And you absolutely need a financial dream team. You can't tell me one millionaire or one CEO of a $1 billion company that doesn't have a financial team. Right. You can't. You can't. Because you can't do it on your own. Man. I think differently. You're not gonna find financial advisors, consultants who think like me, who come from where I come from, and who also understand. I understand my people. I understand what we need. I understand that we need to address this trust issue with financial institutions. I understand we need to address our money mindset. I understand that we gotta heal through some of this financial trauma. We gotta break these generational curses, right? I also understand that. So I cater to my clients just a little bit differently. I'm able to sit with my clients while they are literally in tears while we're going through their credit report, being able to, give them recommendations or this is what this should have looked like, et cetera. But to do it in a loving way, right? Because also understanding that most of us are embarrassed. Most of us are ashamed. That's why we can't have transparent conversations. Like, no, I don't want to walk into a bank just to hear you tell me that I jacked up my credit. I know that. I did that already.
We seen that. We see the score. I already know that.
I know this, right? So give me something I don't know or give it to me in a way that I haven't heard it before. Yeah. And that's what I do.
Man, listen. I can hear the passion. I can hear the knowledge. It's the it factor for me. When I sit down with people and they tell me what they do, I can tell if they just in it just to play around or if they in it because they really trying to make an impact. And just being able to go through that spiel, and just be able to tell me some of the things that obviously that we struggle with as a people, what you already know, some of the insecurities that we come with, and be able to speak to those. I think I found relief in just hearing that. Listen, I know it's embarrassing to understand that your credit is trash. I ain't gonna tell you it's trash. We're gonna work on how to get it better. You know what I'm saying? So just to be able to hear that and really understand it, I think, for anybody that's watching, listening, definitely you need to check out her on social media. I'm definitely going to drop all the information, links, all that under the view, everything. I got you covered. But that's dope. But this is about the kids as well, because exposure leads to expansion. It's a lot of kids that they don't know, they only know what they know. Like, I can't blame, I look at it like this. Sometimes it's hard for me to say, why you doing X, Y, and Z, bro? Like, why you out here trying to still sell drugs, or why you still trying to do this? I can't blame you, because that's all you know. That's all you've seen. So, like, this podcast is for me to get down with different people, so that way there's no excuse anymore of the exposure. Like, you could be so many different things. So number one, I want you to tell me, it's like a 1A, 1B type question, and then we're done pretty much. So 1A is for the little girls and boys that want to do what you do. What's the first steps? Like, you gave us a mouthful, but the thing about it for me, like, I like to break things down. Like, I need a plan. Like, okay, this is what you gotta do first. This is probably what you need to do next, and then you move on from there, right? I need to know that, at least the first steps of how they can really get started and really understand, what to do and how they become and help their own communities, because you can't be everywhere. So somebody has to be able to give the information. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Sometimes you can't talk. Messages don't translate well across all different people. You see what I'm saying? So give me that, and then I'll let you give me that first, and then I'll ask my last one.
So I apologize in advance for being a cliche, right? But I truly believe that if there's a young person out there who's listening to this, the first thing you need to do is to believe in your ability to make it happen. You got to believe in yourself. And that starts first, because you're going to have family members, you're going to have friends, you're going to have, classmates who don't believe in you, who are going to project their fears on you. Not that because they don't think that you have what it takes to persevere and to make it. They didn't believe in themselves, so it's hard to believe in you, right? So you're going to have to be able to develop tough skin. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint at heart. Like, you got to believe in yourself. You got to love yourself, because not only are you going to be dealing with society and everyone around you, you're also going to be dealing with your own head. Imposter syndrome is going to set in at some point, right? The feeling of inadequacy, you're going to face that. And if you struggle with believing in yourself, you're going to be defeated, period. Yeah. Like, you're not going to make it through that. And that's most important, because if you don't get through that mental work, then you're not going to be able to physically execute. And it being someone where I didn't plan to be an entrepreneur. I didn't create a roadmap to do this thing. I was kind of forced into it. Many of my family members who were forced into entrepreneurship because they couldn't get reliable jobs, because of, being in the system or whatever the case might have been, or lack of education, right? And when you're forced in it, you already think differently about it. But you also don't always have that package together, because you weren't quite ready. It wasn't your plan. So that was something I struggled with, my mentality, right? I struggled believing in myself. Lyndsae, do you have enough experience in the industry? Have you been doing this long enough, right? Have you served, the right type of clients to be able to provide certain types of, education or resources? But I had to learn how to fight through my own head. I had to learn to trust myself, to bet on myself. So that's the biggest thing. And the second thing is, I want to say, is invest in your mind, because that's something that no one can ever take away from you. Read books. If you don't enjoy reading, it's cool. I'm an auditory learner, and I know that. Figure out your best learning style and cater to that. I enjoy listening to podcasts. I enjoy listening to audiobooks. You can still take notes. You can still learn. You can still be just as effective. You just have to do it. You have to put these things in place. 3, be careful what you're consuming. I know it's so hard when we're living in a social media age, right? And we're just seeing from everything, but you got to put a filter on what you're seeing. Like, you don't need to be surrounding yourself with a lot of negativity. Like, I don't even watch the news all the time, because I don't have time. Like, let me know important what's going on. And if not, I'm good, because it just keeps you trapped. Like, it just keeps you trapped in such negativity. There are certain times I just don't want to be on social media. I don't want to see what everybody else got going on. because a little bit of that sinks into you, right? And you have to take care of yourself so much that the things that you can control, you want to be able to control them, because there are a number of things that you cannot control when you walk out of those doors, when you partake in certain conversations. So what you do have control over, control it.
Yeah,
as much as possible.
That's a fact. I like those. That's 3 solid gems that you gave us, and I, even me personally, I had to remind myself. I took a What's funny is I started the year off with a 6-month cleanse of social media, which I haven't been on my personal page, where that's where a lot of stuff is at. So I haven't been on the personal page. I haven't posted in about 6 months, but I start the podcast. I've been doing this in like 2019, but heavy. I wanted this, like, it was my New Year's resolution. I was like, I want to do YouTube. I want to take myself more on the podcast front. And so I knew that I had to tap in with social media though, to get, the viewers and start bringing the marketing to peace. So I only stick to the podcast, but it's not much going on. It's people that's doing great. I use it to inbox people just to keep the podcast funneling. But it's crazy what it'll do if you take a break from social media. And then when you take a break and then you get back on, you be like, it's not even the same. It's like, I'm like, like, I don't even like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't rock with that like that. So it's like, I'm gonna just stick over here to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And and it's funny how your mind can be cleansed and changed just by taking that little mental break. Yeah. Last question. What is the number one thing that you struggle with on your entrepreneurship journey, and how did you overcome? Because I see posts, like, listen, you a beast at the reels, the content. Like, I see the page, and it's just like, just everything that you do. But I also seen you talk about something that you was working on self. You know what I'm saying? Self love, and just doing that. But I do want to, because there will be times if you trying to chase this entrepreneurship role where you will probably quit on yourself mentally. But you have to, like, when you at the bottom, it's like, this is where you learn how to climb out mental droughts. And then you have to put processes in place so that way you don't get that low anymore. So it's like you learning on the fly, So tell me, this transparency moment, because the podcast has been great. Everything sounds really good. You've done very well for yourself, but there needs to be a realism, a realistic look at what that journey really looked like.
I struggle a lot with managing the flow of being a CEO, right? Especially when you are a solopreneur, when it's mostly you and your business. You're the chief, tech officer, the chief financial officer, the chief operation.
Everything, just you.
Everything. And I really struggle with, like, balance. Entrepreneurship is a balancing act, period. Beyond balancing in your business, you're also balancing your personal life, right?
Yeah.
So also going through a number of things personally, right? With struggling with my identity as a Black queer woman, that was a big part of, like, my challenges, and being open about it, like feeling comfortable to say that, no, this is who I am.
Wow.
And being proud of that, because they're, of course, coming from small communities where people are also small-minded, right? You're basically taught not to love yourself if you're not considered normal, right? So really going through that and believing that, no, Lyndsae, this is who you were created to be.
Yeah.
The same God that created them created you.
Right.
And it's okay. What they got a problem with, it's on them. It's not on you. And I used to take so much ownership over people and things and what they would say and how they would make me feel. And I no longer wanted to do that because I felt trapped in a box. And I wasn't able to really be myself. And the thing is that authenticity is always the best trait, right? You want to be yourself. Your clients are attracted to who you are as a person, not necessarily what it is that you do in business, because there's so many people who do what you do. It's about the you that you bring to your business. And I was having trouble bringing the real me to my business based on what people told me I should be or should not be. But also being able to delegate and to feel safe and comfortable saying, this is my baby. Yes, however, I need help. sis, can you help me? Like, I need some support. Can we barter? You know, how much are your services? We gotta let go of the superhero mentality, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to do it all. Bump that. We cannot
You cannot
do it all. You have to ask for help. And I didn't do that very well initially. So I always felt like I was drowning. I always felt like I was like trying to cough my way out of being buried in work.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy, right? Because it limits your creativity. It limits the time and room that you have to really grow and prosper in your business. And another thing that I probably struggled with was balancing in my relationship, right? In my personal relationship. That was the biggest thing because my partner and I, you know, over 12 plus years, literally been growing up together.
Wow.
Started dating in high school, you know, had some time off for college, you know, reconnected again.
Yeah.
It's been a lot, but we both were accustomed to being taught how to be employees, go get a good job, go invest in your education, go get a good job and be comfortable, right? My partner grew up with parents who are employees. So naturally her parents think differently from my parents, which means we grew up differently, which means we think differently. So after I lost my job and I was like, no, I think this is what God is telling me to do. This is where he wants me, like walking on faith, like, and not really seeing a real way, that didn't really work too well in my relationship. Like it did not. It's more so where the money coming from. What you mean? You ain't applying for jobs.
What's going on?
Like,
you putting in on this or what?
Or what? Yeah. So that was like a huge struggle. And when you're in a space where of course you love someone, you're building a future with them, their opinion matters.
Oh yeah.
And when they don't necessarily, it's not that they don't believe in you, but when they don't support you in a way and see it, it is the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing ever trying to get somebody else to see. And most importantly, when you are, you know, I am a little bit more spiritually inclined than my partner. I just think differently, right? And I'm really big on, if this is what God wants from me, this is what I need to put my all into. And my partner didn't really think like that. You know, it's more practical thinking. She's an analyst, so she analyzes things black and white.
Yeah.
If you ain't got no job, ain't no money coming in, we can't invest in the business, you know. So,
the math ain't mathing.
The math ain't
mathing,
right? But with faith, though, it masks in just a different way. We don't see it the same. And now being on this side of things, being 18 months into being a full-time entrepreneur, I'm like, wow, God, wow, this is where we are. And to win a prestigious award from the Small Business Administration within year one, that was confirmation for me that this is where you need to be. And it's okay that, you know, my relationship struggle, it's okay that, you know, we ended up, you know, falling apart, right? That's okay because I'm also serving my bigger purpose. I'm also walking in my path, in my divinely ordered steps. It's going to work out. You do anything in faith, and when it's in alignment with your purpose and your will, it will work out, no matter what it looks like.
Come on, man. Preach. That's a word. Preach. Listen, I only hope and pray that everything that you learned, you know, during that time, it's just made you a much better person. You know what I'm saying? Like I always, you know, success is funny how you have to go through the trials and tribulations and then you get on the other side of the trials and tribulations and then you say, I'm glad I went through that. But when you going through it, you hated it. It was terrible. You was scared. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I always say, you know, God is the greatest storyteller ever. You know what I'm saying? You can't script some of the stuff that you go through, some of the stuff how it happens. I talked to Shakira and how she was able to get her job. I was like, there's no way you could have scripted that any better.
You can't make it up.
You know what I'm saying? So like when you sit down with people like this, it gives me motivation. It gives the listeners motivation to say, you got to keep going and keep pushing in your purpose, because like you said, the divine order, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. You know,
it will happen.
What's for you is for you. So Lyndsae, I thank you so much. I had a great time. I hope you had a great time.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a tremendous host. I love that energy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I try my best. I know sometimes people be like, like black dude with a podcast. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Some brothers got it bad out here for us. You know what I'm saying? Because they be talking out the side of their neck. But I try to keep it, you know what I'm saying? I try to keep it under composure and be like, listen, it's some real ones out here that ain't just going to say anything. So I get it. But I do appreciate you. And if there's anything that, you know, I can do, I would love to just be able to, you know, if anything, collaborate on something, do something together, you know, work something out. I definitely need to come talk to you about class.
Please, let's do that.
You know what I'm saying? I hope other people come to you, talk about, you know, what you got going on. And I just hope they really got a feel of, you know, what it's like to be, you know, just be on earth and really just walking in your purpose. You got to know who you are before you can do anything, though. So, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you know who you are, and then everything will work out for you. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself in Atlanta. Don't have too much fun. You know what I'm saying? I know the hookahs and brunch, the mimosas they calling. You know what I'm saying?
Ready.
Look, you gotta be careful out there, but
we're networking. Right?
Yeah, network. Write it off. You know, I know you know them tricks, financial literacy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's good. Well, thank you again. I hope you have a great night. And if you need anything, like I said, just feel free, hit me up. I'll definitely be in contact with you. And thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much to you, and thank you to Big Boss Talk.
For sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.